Hello, spiritual bodies, driven entrepreneurs, and everyone in between. Welcome to Embodiment, Who You Are Behind Closed Doors, the podcast where we explore the truth of who you are beyond the surface.
I'm Emmanuel Series.
And I'm Ashley Fry.
Together, we dive into mindset, self-discovery, and the magic of aligning with your highest self. If you're chasing dreams or leveling up spiritually, this is for you.
Okay, guys, welcome back to Embodiment, Who You Are Behind Closed Doors. Today we're doing a fire round with Mano, okay? So we're gonna break him down, quiz him on the 12 laws of karma. We said
This
that
is a
was gonna
surprise
happen.
episode. We just finished filming an intro, and then she starts recording. I'm like, what are we filming right now?
I did say this at the end of our 12 laws of karma episode too. I said the next episode is gonna be a quiz, but that was a few. Mano doesn't remember things, okay? Look at him.
I'm like,
Okay, so what is law number one, Mano?
um, well, yes. Okay, hold on. I do remember there's one about ego. Wait, but that's not law number one though.
Oh, and
Okay.
he's going to
Also, the
pull it
thing is,
up right now.
also the
I
thing
see
is
the
though,
eyes wandering.
okay, but the thing is though that hmm,
Ahem.
it's you know, Ashley is writing a book on this topic right now,
Period.
and so I just want to plug it really quick because there's not really many books available that
He's
talk about this.
he's diverging focus right now. Sorry, diverting focus.
I'm like me when I don't know the answer. I'm like, what? Let's just talk about.
Um,
Okay, hold on.
mm,
Okay,
he
hold on,
jumps
hold on.
to positive reinforcement when he's diverting focus. That's a good friend.
Period.
Oh.
Wait, there is okay. I do remember.
Law number
Wait,
one,
wait.
the law of and the law
Oh,
of and
what is that? The
fill in
love.
the blanks. Fill in the blanks.
Okay. Um.
Okay, he's flexing for
Oh,
us now.
oh wait. Was I flexing? Oh, period.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Okay, wait.
The law
Wait,
of
I know it's at the top of my head. It's at the top of my head. Hold on.
it is literally, I think, what people need to understand about karma, about what karma is. I think it is like the most, no, they're all super important. They
Ooh,
all intertwine, but this is the one that, like, when people,
cause and effect.
period,
Period. Period. Damn,
um,
if only I had Ashley's new book here, I'd be able to just look in the book.
through and answer all the questions. Okay, so cause and effect, period.
Yes, period.
Um,
Period. I fear
what,
that is karma. The cause and effect is literally karma.
I agree. Why do you, I want to pick your brain a little bit. Why do
Yeah.
you think that, because I have my own understanding of it, why do you think that the law of cause and effect is literally a representation of what karma is?
Because I like to think of it as the energy you put out is the energy you get back. I literally live by that. Like how you treat others is how, you know, you will end up being treated. And so like when you think of karma, karma is what goes around comes around, which is cause and
Mhm.
effect. So the way I look at it is if I am kind to someone,
Yeah.
they're more likely to be kind to me. If I'm rude to someone, if I hyper extend my energy and I'm angry or whatever, and I raise my voice, they're more likely to do that. They're more likely to match the energy, right? Cause and effect. Because if you're angry at someone, they're likely to get angry back at you. If you're
Yeah.
kind to someone, if you move with kindness, they're likely to be kind back to you. So that's kind of how I interpret it in like way where like if I'm showing up in the world, show up in the way that you want to be
You know what
treated.
example you're using right now?
Which one?
Literally the intro of my book.
Really?
Yeah.
Period. Everyone, available on Amazon
Not
in
yet.
unspecified date.
I actually need to
Unspecified
put a
date.
date to it. I think I'm gonna put a date this month.
Mm. The one of the only books on the 12 Laws of Karma.
My
So,
ass. Yeah.
yeah.
No, and I agree. I truly like that's the thing about, and that's the energy that you put out is the energy you're gonna receive. Sometimes we receive the tail end of things from other people, but that's where what you control comes into play. You have no control over what other people do, right? You can
Mhm.
only control what you do. And even if you give kindness, sometimes you're going to receive maybe not so much kindness from other people. But
Yeah.
as long as you choose to continue reacting, or not even reacting, I would say taking action versus reacting,
Mhm.
then maybe not in that moment, but maybe in the following moments, you're going to receive double the kindness or like whatever you are deserving of. It's just, unfortunately, as much as there are things we can control inside of us, there are a million things we can't control outside of us.
Let Them Theory. Mel Robbins, my girl.
Yeah, I'm almost done listening to the audiobook.
Ooh, you're gonna have to give me a rating after you're done, because I know a lot of people are also listening to that book.
Yeah, I think it's no, it's a great book, right? Like I haven't listened to Mel as much as you have. Um, and it's definitely different. Like I don't think there's I want how do I word this? Like I think the let them theory is very straightforward. It is hard to put into practice sometimes.
Mm,
As simple as it seems, it
yeah.
is hard to put into practice sometimes because like there can be situations that emotionally and that's why she says sorry, I'm going through
Yeah,
thoughts
yeah.
right now trying to figure out how to word this. But she says let them let me, right?
Mm,
And so it's never just let them because if you let them, then you're forgetting about yourself and you have to even though maybe um say somebody screwed you over, right? Or somebody treated you in a way that you really just didn't like. That's where like the let them let me comes into play because okay, if that's how they want to act, let them.
mhm.
And then let me retract myself. Let me focus on what I can focus on
Yeah.
and let me live my life otherwise. So, no, there's a lot of good stuff in there. And she gives a lot of personal stories as well, which I knew nothing about Mel Robbins' personal life before this, right? So it's definitely very interesting.
And it also kind of ties into the conversation we were having privately before about like comparing yourself to others.
Oh yeah.
Um,
No, we're talking about our love lives.
so like in regards to that, again, it's the let them theory also manifests in that way too, because it's like, okay, let them like if someone's like if you're comparing yourself to others, okay, let them live their life. You know, you should only compare yourself to who you were a week ago, a year ago,
Last
whatever,
night.
right? Last night. Like
Yeah.
just com like the only person that's and again, you said this, Ash, the only person that's gonna be with you forever and is never gonna leave your side is yourself, right? And so let every external factor, let them do whatever they need to do. Like whatever, right? If they don't want to hang out with you, let them. If they don't want to get dinner with you, let them. If they don't want to text you back, let them, right? Because at the end of the day, you are the one that's in power and you are the one that's going to be with you till the end of time.
Hmm.
So do what benefits you. Do what fills your own cup.
Hmm. And I think obviously life is more rich when we love on other people and we have supportive people around us. You just really you gotta decipher who is the real and who is not. And comparing won't do that, but analyzing and I think like taking things for what they are is
Mhm.
oh, so simple but so powerful, right? Like I don't know. There's a lot of situations that have happened recently, for me at least, where I've had to say, okay, if that's what you want to do, cool. I'll be living my life over here, you know? Like I got
Yeah.
I got my people, I got my friends, I got my family, I got work, fucking everything we all do, right? And if you don't have the respect or the value for the time that I'm putting right here for you, then that's okay, right? And that applies to everyone, right? Sometimes you really just got to say, okay, I'm not going to fight it
Mm,
because clearly like it's a one-way street. And like
mm,
that can be with family, that can be with like you know what I mean? Like that can be
yeah.
applicable to anyone and anything. And you really like let them just let them,
Yeah.
right?
Just let them.
If people are truly meant to be in your life, they will come back or they will realize, right? If you did everything that you could to be kind and to be loving and to uh put in effort, right, to care or whatever,
Mm.
and they didn't see that for what it was, who knows? You know? You never know. Maybe one day your ex-best friend will realize, right? Maybe, and that ties into karma, right? Just as much as anything else. Maybe you and your ex-best friend went through it and you really tried to be there and then one day just couldn't. And who knows, maybe one day uh they'll be on the other end of that and they'll realize, wow, this is how it feels. And that's that's karma, right? So, yeah,
So I think you should co-author your book with Mel Robbins.
period. Let me
Period.
let me call her up right now.
Let me just dial her up real right quick because I think that like those two messages, like the 12 laws of karma and the let them theory are very very similar. And I think not all the 12 laws of karma, but I think that some of the 12 laws fit into what the let them theory um you know
Well, a
is about.
hundred, even relating that back to cause and effect, right? Like a lot of what Mel says is okay, let them, let me,
Hmm.
right? Don't react because if you're reacting, then what are you doing? Then that cause and effect, you are adding to that cause and effect in a negative way or in a way that maybe doesn't align with what you truly want. And sometimes it can be so easy to react to things without thinking about it. But even, what does she say? She said there was a time that she said, I forget. I don't know if it's a minute or in 5 minutes. She was like, sit on it for 5 minutes and I think it was 60 seconds. She said, sit on it for 60 seconds and I promise you the emotion will have gone through you and you'll be able to think about it properly. That's another thing that she says. So, and I don't know, I think whenever I'm dealing with something with like maybe family or friends or like they're dealing with something and I'm trying to help, I feel bad saying this sometimes, but this is truly how like I try to approach things is like think about it as like action versus reaction.
Hmm.
Okay, with how I'm feeling right now, is it beneficial for me or the other person if I say something? Like, is it truly beneficial for either of us if I respond right now with how I'm feeling, right? So, and I like, and the reason why I say, like, is this even helping when I bring that up to my friends is because I feel like in the moment when you're emotional, you don't really want to hear that. But
Hmm.
it can be, it really, I feel like for me at least, it grounds me.
Or it can just make you look at things from a different perspective,
Yeah.
which sometimes is all you need because when you're also going through those moments of fear or anxiety in your own head, like sometimes you can't see things from another perspective because the brain is just like,
Mhm.
no, like this is how it is. But when someone else tells you what they're seeing, you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
that is true. And it gives you a new truth to look at,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
Because like we don't have the truth. We don't have all the truths. Like we don't. We're just humans on a floating rock in space, and we don't know, sometimes we don't know We don't know, and that's okay. But it's always good to get someone else's perspective because then it helps you open up your mind to new possibilities and new hope. And
Mhm.
again, this you actually I'm curious to see after I say this, I'm curious to hear your opinion on this, but depression is just sadness without hope, right? Hope unlocks an entirely new perspective that allows you to overcome anything. That's why hope's one of the hope and great and being grateful are two of the most powerful emotions.
And trust.
Mm,
Trust, because trust and faith go hand in hand. I was thinking faith in my head, but I think trust is really, really a big part of that because when you have faith, you're trusting that things are going to work out, even if there's challenges, even if, fuck, it takes like bloody feet and lots of tears to get there. You trust that you're going to get where you want to go or where you need to go or where you deserve to go, right?
yeah.
So, no, I like that.
Period.
I think like it's harsh to say. It can feel harsh to hear, like, okay, well, depression is sadness without hope. Obviously, there's more to it, but I think if you like pull yourself away from it, if you're someone who maybe is like experiencing maybe a more depressing time, if you can just like tell, how do I word this? Sometimes it takes not accepting the lows and just saying, no, like, I'm not gonna let this happen to myself. I'm not gonna let myself feel like this in order to break through it, right? Like, sometimes you just really gotta be fed up with what you're feeling or what you're dealing with in order to pull yourself out. Fucking yesterday, was it yesterday? Okay, so I couldn't sleep the night before. Monday, had a great morning. Okay, I woke up at 5. I went back to sleep for like another hour. I woke up at like 6:30. I did my morning routine, which I honestly, because things have been so chaotic recently, I haven't really been on routine in terms of that. My routine at nighttime is a lot better than the morning. But so Monday was a great day. Monday night, couldn't sleep. Fucking grabbed my Ben and Jerry's on my period, binge watched Good American Family. Um, and I probably didn't sleep until like 3:30 or something. And I woke up yesterday morning-ish at like 11:30 or something. Um, After snoozing my alarm 100 times and like whatever. And I just kind of sat there and I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Mm,
Like I know it's okay to have moments and whatever, but I woke up on a Tuesday morning. First of all, weird fucking dreams because I binge watched that show. Second of all, not a great sleep. Probably because period fell asleep on my couch because my bed is filled with laundry right now because that is not my priority right now. But I just woke up and I said, no, you know what? For the next week, I'm not going to fall asleep watching a show because I was essentially just calling myself out on that because it felt shitty and I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this every day. Right? So sometimes, and that's just like one little example obviously, but sometimes when you're feeling like in that kind of like wave of lower emotions or lower vibrations, you really just got to call yourself out on the shit, right?
yeah. That is true. And I think that like generally with what you're mentioning about like I guess it's like mind power too, because like your mind obviously is the most powerful thing that you have. And you can tell yourself what you tell yourself becomes reality,
Oh,
right? Like if you say you can or can't, it is true. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure
what
that's
it was Henry Ford. He goes, uh, whether you say you can or you can't, you're right.
yes, that was it. Right. And so like your mind is very, very, very powerful for that stuff. And I think that that's an example of that where it's like, and also I think that I mean you had a great day on Monday just because you knew I was coming back. Like obviously. I mean, come on. Like not to toot my own horns here, but um
Oh, whoa, Mano. Okay.
but no, I mean like um
Okay, look
besides
how red he is right now.
besides all that, no, I need to calm my man with the tomato down. Um
It's getting hot
uh
in here.
but
So
no, I think
techno.
that's I think it's a great it's a great conversation to have because again, like especially now with mental health is such a obviously it's always a huge and it's I'm glad it's a huge topic because it's so important to take care of yourself mentally. Um, but sometimes it really is about how you speak to yourself behind closed doors. Like how do you do you try to make an effort to uplift yourself? Do you
And
surround yourself with positivity or are you allowing yourself to stay in those negative states of mind?
yes, and one thing that we used to talk about a lot when we started this podcast 3 years ago was thoughts aren't real. Okay.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
still, okay. A lot, another thing that I've been thinking about a lot is duality, like two things being uh right at once or two
Yeah.
things being apparent at once. Yes, thoughts aren't real. Okay, they are not real. You can have thoughts that pop into your head that are patterns that are um a product of your environment, a product of the people that you spend your time around, a product of the things that you consume, a product of trauma or things people have said to you in the past. Yes, that is true. At the same time, thoughts aren't real. Thoughts become real.
Yes.
So if you continue to allow those thoughts that maybe are not controlled by you, that are a pattern, that are subconscious, even though they do not have any true meaning or like how do I word this? Definition of who you are
Mhm.
entailed in them. They become real if you do not actively choose to get them out of there. Right? That was such a weird thing that I just did. I don't know why I did that.
Hey, but you know what? It brought background noise. You know when they put in videos when they put like little pop sound effects,
Yeah.
it's all for the engagement of the viewer. So you know what? It's good at the end of the day. But I do agree with that, and I think it's a form of manifestation, right? Your
Hmm.
thoughts become your reality. And to put an example to that, I'm I'm gonna say this. This is part of my journey being more vulnerable. So there we
Period.
go. But at one point, I was at a state where I was like am I really doing what I'm meant to be doing? Like, am I at my level of success that I want to be? And I went into this spiral being like, I don't think I'm doing the right things. I'm not as successful as I thought I was. I'm this and this and whatever. And like just all these negative thoughts. And I remember I was in this spiral for like a day or two. And it was just everything was just getting worse and worse. And there were like it wasn't thinking those thoughts, nothing was getting better. And I was like, why am I doing this? And I remember that after those 2 days elapsed, right? I was like, I was sitting there and I was like, why am I letting myself think like this? I'm like, like I should be grateful for all the things that are in my life. And when I went to gratitude is when I started going back up again and I realized like, no, wait, I have so much that I'm like I'm doing amazing, right? And like
Yeah.
it was only with and then it went into this whole other thought stream, right? Mind river, where I started thinking about, okay, what is belief?
Yeah.
Right? Like
The root of all things.
yeah, belief is the root of all things. But when you think about it, like if I asked you, are you a girl or a boy? What do you believe?
I believe I'm a girl. I'm sure
Why
that,
but you don't know you're a girl,
no, I know I'm a girl.
so you don't believe. Belief is something you don't know, right? When you know something, it is something that is you 100% are certain of. Like you know who your parents are, right? You don't believe that, your parents are your parents. You know, right? So like,
Let me contradict that in like a
okay.
good way.
Yeah, yeah.
In a good way. I agree with you, but I think that belief turns into knowing.
How so?
Like, okay, we're both more spiritual than like religious,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But for those who are maybe religious, um, their relationship with God grows and grows and grows, right? And maybe at the beginning it starts off just believing, right? But at the end, or not at the end, but as they go along their journey, they become more into knowing, right, about God and about what role God plays in their life or lives. And then even just, I'd say, like on a journey of self-development, right? You choose your beliefs become your reality. So, like, if maybe you were someone who was not as confident before, but you decided to start choosing to be confident and actively tell yourself that you were confident and believe in yourself, um, and that belief eventually becomes a knowing because then you become self-certain, right? Um, Also, belief, the thing about belief is that it's different for everyone too, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I don't necessarily think I get what you mean in the sense of belief is not necessarily like it's something that you don't know, but at the same time, belief creates everything around you because it creates the lens that you look at things through.
yeah. I mean, when you think about it, it ties into what we were saying before about thoughts. Like thoughts aren't real, but they create your reality.
Yeah,
Like a
exactly.
belief, if you think about it, a belief is like a thought. A belief is a thought that can create your reality because if you
Yeah.
believe something strongly, it ends up, you know,
And
transitioning into how you portray yourself or how you live your life,
yeah.
in any
And
way.
I said this in my book. Belief is the root of all things. Belief in the good, belief in the bad, belief in yourself, belief in others, right? Uh,
Yeah.
I believe in you as a person. I
Mhm.
actively choose to believe in you, right? And because I believe in you, I know that no matter where life takes you, you're going to be successful no matter what. Now, do I necessarily see into the future and see that? No. But
Mhm.
taking everything that I know about you and watching you grow in the way that you've grown in the past 3 years, I know that no matter what situation you are handed, that you are going to come out of it successful.
Well, I love you, first of all, but that'll yeah, like that's the thing. It's like because again, belief is a very strong thought. I'd say belief is even stronger than thought because a thought, like sure, your thoughts come 30,000 or 35,000 thoughts come a day or whatever.
80,000.
Oh, is it 80,000? Okay, so basically one thought a second, pretty much, because
Mhm.
86,000 seconds in a day. But
I didn't know that there was 86,000 seconds in a day.
yeah, so technically you get like one thought a second, which is cool. But um a belief is a very powerful thought and it is reinforced by a collection of other things, right? But I
Yeah.
think that you saying that is, and I'm glad that you brought up those points because it also puts another perspective into how, to look at them a little bit because I do agree. And I think that when you think of beliefs, you think of religions like they're kind of tied hand in hand a little bit like belief in religion because like you believe in God or you believe in spirituality or you believe in these different
Yeah.
entities, right? um and as you grow into that religion or into that practice you start to have a knowing
Mhm.
into who you are as a person but also
I
who the religion is and how you fit in.
I think I truly think, and like this is just me. Okay, this is just my brain. I truly think, or I truly believe that, like, belief is the root of all things, right? Because if you believe, first of all, okay, you going to Berlin, did you know you were going to do that a year ago? No.
No.
But then you put that in your head and you like convinced yourself, you're like, I'm gonna go. And then you ended up booking it and you ended up going, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you okay, your experience with the crackhead on the TTC, okay, when you got hit in the head, that shaped your belief about crackheads in general, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So you approach or you walk by or view them on the street differently than I do, right?
Yeah.
And that's like when I say belief is the root of all things, that's truly what like how I see it is like with everything that we do and everything that we think about ourselves, what we choose to believe is what becomes real. If you were to like wake up and say like, no, you know what, that was just a one-off with that crackhead. I'm gonna be nice to every single one going forward. That's you choosing to change your belief, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
it's
that inherently changes how you act, right? If
true.
you woke up one day and you were like, no, I believe Ashley is a shitty fucking person, and you started to change your thoughts about me, then you would also like your belief on that would change. It's and that's why like working on limiting beliefs is so important. Um, there was something that happened recently. I was having a conversation with someone about this. I forget what it was, but limiting beliefs are so like they sneak in. They sneak in subconsciously because of everything around us, because of routines, because of maybe people around us who have stronger limiting beliefs because like all of that limiting beliefs can be so easy, you know, the flea in the jar
Hmm.
situation, right? Like you and I were talking, I'm gonna be so real right now, you and I were talking about relationships before, okay? With everything that I've dealt with the men that I've spoken to in the past year, okay, fuck it, 2 years, okay, since I got out of my last relationship 3 years ago, let's say that
Yeah.
every experience that I've had since then, I could take like after all of that, I could put the fucking lid on my jar in relationships and say, you know what? I don't deserve love, clearly. It's been 3 years and not a single successful situation has come out of that. But I'm choosing not to believe that because I know that there's learning lessons that come in every single one of those situations and every single one of those people. And I've learned things about myself and other people as well throughout it. And like, that's just like one example of where like limiting beliefs could actively come into play. But self-belief, right? Like that, when you let your circumstances control how you think about yourself, then you limit yourself from achieving all that you deserve. And like love is just one of those things, right? So,
Absolutely. And that's also why it's
sorry,
so
this
important.
I'm so passionate about this. I don't
No,
know
I
why.
love it. It's great because we're having a great conversation. But um I was gonna say that's why it's so important to surround yourself with positive reinforcement because like that's why for example like the vision board, right? Like people you Ashley of all people knows how important visualization is. That's literally her entire business, right? And so when people create vision boards, why do they create it? It's to visualize what they want, right? But also, aside from visualizing what they want, it's to provide themselves with a positive image at all times around them. Like
A
that's why
reminder.
a reminder, positive reinforcement, right? Because like I literally is above my bed because every time I wake up in the morning and I go to make my bed, I see it
Yeah,
every single day. And so it continues to reinforce everything I need to do. And actually, when I look at my vision board, I've actually already done a bunch of things that are on the vision board, which
period.
I'm like, that's crazy to look at because I'm like, holy, I made this back in December before the new year. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, a lot of these things I've actually done, which I
And you
didn't
know why? Because you have a clear picture, right? And when you
exactly.
have a clear picture and you give yourself direction and you keep it front of face, it happens, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, true. But that's it. Positive. I can't speak. Positive reinforcement. And again, this is a great conversation because now I'm even more excited to read your book now because I'm like, hey, I know all of these things are going to intertwine into the teachings, and I know Ashley has you have a lot of experience that you know would tie into what you write about as well, especially when it comes to these laws of karma and the examples that you're going to use. And I can't wait to have a new resource to look at when it comes to the 12 laws of karma. Because again, I don't know them that well, not as well as you do. But
I'm still, obviously, I'm still learning. I was, honestly, that was a joke. I didn't even know that we were going to get into a whole podcast episode when I started this recording.
wait, really?
I was so fucking around, but
That's
I'm
so
happy that we
funny.
did because
Yeah.
here we are. Um, and yeah, no, you and I always have great conversations. I think that's what makes this so lovely is that no matter what, um, we're able to pick each other's brains and like you give me the space to talk, you give me, and vice versa. So
Well, also though, we like I think the thing that's really beneficial is that we both have very different perspectives, but we share the same values. So like,
oh, I agree. I agree. You and I, obviously, we see some things in similar ways and we have the same values. But you know what my brother asked me the other day?
what?
He was like, it was really weird. Not weird, but just he's not usually a deep person in this sense. But he said to me, he was like, who do you think you're most alike? Like, who do you think you're most similar to? And like out of my friends, I guess.
Yeah.
And I thought about it and I was like, I honestly think Mano and I function very much the same. Like
Yeah.
I that was like my answer. And he was like, but he's a guy, but he's this. And I was like, yeah, but at the same I literally said this to him. I said, him and I have the same ambition, the same drive, the same uh not necessarily same goals, but like
Hmm.
even though we might look at things completely differently in terms of like I see things with more of an emotional lens, you see things with more of like a logical lens. Sometimes you're totally irrational. But no, I'm kidding.
No,
Um
with the pair.
but yeah, no, I truly I like that you brought that up because that's really cool. I've never put it into perspective like that.
Well, like it's just because again, when you think about our podcast or you listen to the podcast, like a lot of people tell me they're like, you and Ashley make a great duo because you guys balance each other out well, right? Because we're not the same person. Obviously, we're not the same person. I have different experiences that make up
Yeah.
my thoughts, my brain, my perspectives, and you have different experiences that make up yours. But beneath it all, we both operate under the same mental, physical values that
Mm-hmm.
shape our view of the world.
Yeah.
So we look at the world the same, but we might look at different situations in different ways.
Yeah.
And when we come together, putting both those different perspectives together and being able to talk about it allows us to have a broader, more diverse, in-depth view
Mm-hmm.
of
You know
what we're
what?
talking about.
So, not Mano. Sorry, that's you. Wangle and I were filming on King Street on Friday, and he set up two chairs and he set up a sign that said free therapy.
I saw that. Yeah.
And this guy came in, and he came in kind of heavy. Okay. Immediately when they sat down, he was like, "No, I'm interviewing you, or I'm asking you the questions. Let's see what's wrong with you," to Wangle. And I think he was like, I think he was almost like deflecting and like asking Wangle questions that he truly needed to be asked about himself. Also, as I was listening to Wangle therapize people, I realized I'd be so good at being a therapist. Just the answers that were coming into my head, I was like, oh my God, like why do I have an answer for
Yes.
everything right now?
Yeah.
Um, but I had to shut up and stay quiet because I was behind the camera. Anyways, so this guy starts like asking Wangle questions, and he asked him, he was like, when you're dealing with a situation and you go and ask your friends or family about it, are you diluting how you truly feel about it and letting other people's opinions affect your decision? And I kind of thought about it because like I didn't like the question. I didn't
Mhm.
like the question, and that like kind of irked me for a second. And I was like, "Hey, why does it bother me?" Because I think the question was coming from an ego stance,
Mm.
right? And I think more than anything, sometimes our friends and our family see things better than we do because
Mhm.
when you're directly involved in a situation, sometimes like the whole like love is blind or like we wear rose-colored lenses sometimes. I think like maybe that was a question he should have been asking himself. But that like in my head, I literally was like, no, because when you ask other people questions and you get other opinions, obviously at the end of the day, whatever decision you make, you decide with whatever you're dealing with, whatever, it should be your decision. But I think when we ask people questions and we gather different opinions, what we're doing is we're making room so our ego is not the one taking the lead.
Mm. So then I like that. I do agree that that question could have been tailored a little differently, but I'm also more curious how you would have rephrased that question to not be coming from an ego perspective.
I just don't believe like I understand why other people's opinions and uh point of views matter. Sorry, I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like, what word do I use? I understand why they matter. Like I just don't think that's a question that I would ask because I understand that like there's value that comes from that.
true. True. Okay, because I'm trying to think
Like
because I do agree. Like I see
and
I
I don't
see like I
I
see what sorry.
no no, let me just throw this in there.
Yeah, yeah.
I almost feel like he had been in a situation with maybe a female or someone
Mhm.
who went to her friends and family and they urged her to maybe not
Pursue things.
continue with him or pursue things with him. And maybe she was open with him about it. Maybe she said, you know what? Like, I talked to my friends and my family. They already know this stuff has happened. And like, they told me I shouldn't be in this. And maybe that, and again, that's why I think he was deflecting. When I,
Mm.
like, the reason why I say that is because, oh my God, like, why am I hyper analyzing people? But I genuinely don't think anybody who has good supportive people around them, um, or has been through situations where they've truly needed someone like that would ask that question, right?
I honestly feel like most people are deflecting.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of again experiences make up your perception of the world, and I think that a lot of people carry those experiences with them, and those experiences influence right how they
Cause and effect.
cause and effect. To wrap it all up, the let them theory, cause and effect, everything, all that stuff, it ties back into this because again, if he's deflecting, that means something had to happen in some case scenario in some one of his pasts in the past of what he was doing, whatever his life, that resulted in him getting hurt or facing something that then made him think of that experience or perceive what happened in a specific way where now he views it negatively, right? And then that's why it tailored his question in a negative way. I
Do
think like
you do you get what I mean when I say
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that
yeah, I
was
do.
coming from an ego place?
I also was because I when you said the question, I also understood it from where he was coming from, but I also understand from where you're coming from. I see both perspectives. I'm like, okay, he's trying to say, how can someone else influence you, right?
Yeah.
When you share your perspective with them. But when you think of it from that perspective, you're thinking of it like your opinion doesn't matter as much as someone else's, right? So like
Yeah.
you're the victim
And I
versus you're
also
the
I
empowered.
that ties back though, and I understand that. And again, that's why I said at the end of the day, I think you should be the one who's making the decision and like go with
Yeah.
whatever fuels your heart. Um, but again, the whole duality, like two things can be present
Hmm.
or apparent at once, right? Yin and yang. Like,
Yeah.
yes, what you think and what you feel and your lived experience matters, right?
Yes.
What your intuition is telling you matters. Do I think it's good to ask questions and get an ego check sometimes? 100%, right?
Yeah.
I There are so many situations that I would still be tied up in or whatever. People would still be in my life if I did not go and like ask my friends or ask my mom or ask I don't really ask my dad about that stuff. But like there would just be situations that now that I've grown out of them, I can understand how they were kind of like dragging me down. And if I didn't gather other opinions, I would have stayed in them. right? So
Mhm.
I the whole like the duality,
Yeah.
duality. We love duality.
Duality.
We love
Duality.
we
Yes.
love her.
We love her.
So yeah, sorry. Actually wanted to talk to you about that personally, like outside of the
Yeah,
podcast, but I
yeah.
thought like it kind of applied to what we were talking about. So
It did. It did. And that's interesting. I see both sides, but I do see how that's coming from an ego perspective and how that probably was influenced from one of his past experiences.
Mhm.
And then he's deflecting that. Also, the way he came up to Wangle, right? Being like, I'm gonna interview you or I'm gonna
You know
therapize
what? You know what adds depth to the story. So I'm standing behind the camera and he comes up to me and he's asking me questions.
you. Oh God.
And well, he's asking me questions about whatever. And then he like stopped and he's like looking at me. And I'm like,
Mm.
"Yes." And he goes, "Sorry, I got distracted by your eyes." And I was like, "Okay, so are you gonna I was like, "Okay, so are you gonna do the interview or no?" And he goes, "How am I gonna do the interview? I'm gonna be looking at you the whole time." I was like, and then he went in and he did that. And I was like, "Okay, buddy."
And then you were like, if I had any interest in you, it's gone to zero now. You're like,
Oh, I was just like, "No, no. Oh my God." But then like he pulled the like taking control of the interview thing, and I was like, okay, okay,
you said,
okay.
well, I see you now. I see where this
I
is
said, I
going.
see what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. You said let's back away from that. Which again,
I'm gonna
hey,
stay right here
energy.
behind the camera.
Yeah,
Stay
yeah.
right
The camera will protect me. That's my energetic field. Shield,
here.
if you will. But no, I think this was a really
Well,
good conversation also. And I'm
yeah,
so glad that you started with a pop quiz because you know what? Sometimes you need a good conversation like this where it's not pre-planned or it's not pre-discussed, where it just you go based on a flow and see where it goes. Because again,
yeah.
like
Your
worst cases that you don't have to post it, right? But sometimes you get really good insights
your
out of stuff
money
like
tree is so big now.
it's yeah, it's huge. It's really big. Like if I stood beside it,
It's 3 years old.
3 years old, but like it goes up to my shoulders.
Well, it's standing on something, but yeah.
Well, it is, yeah, but still, it used to when Ashley got that. By the way, Ashley got that for me when as a move-in present when I was downtown, and it was literally like this big when
Yeah,
she got it.
yeah.
So it has grown so much. And again, you grow based on the environment you're put in. It originally when Ashley got it, it was in a small little vase. I changed it into a big one, and it grew to fit into a bigger environment.
Oh, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Because before the vase you got me, it was like a baby vase. Like it was like
Yeah.
just for the baby tree, right? And I was like, let me put it in a bigger vase, just because whatever to see if it grows. And it actually shot up after I did that, and now it's stayed at this
Wow.
size. So if I put it in a
Wow.
bigger vase than this, it's gonna grow even more, right? Like you grow to the environment you put yourself in. That's why people say move out, live on your own, go in different cities because the bigger your environment, the bigger you can grow,
Oh my
right?
goodness, there's so
Okay.
much life out there for you. This is another thing. So, my mom's best friend passed away recently, like within the last 2 weeks. And there have been so many little situations. Oh my God, I'm tearing up. Whew. Um, there have been so many situations where maybe me or like one of my friends have been like, oh, well, I'm frustrated at this, whatever. And in each moment, like I just said it to Jamie, I said it to Taylor, I said it to myself.
Mm,
I was like, you know what? Life is too short. Like, we only have one life. Like,
yeah.
why? Like, there's no use in feeling negatively about this or
Mm,
like feeling short-tempered with this or whatever. Like, it's really not that big. Like,
no.
life is way too short. So, life is way too short to not just say fuck it and go and move and whatever and
Go to Europe for a month. Or
real, real,
or
real.
just do
Even
whatever you want.
even Mano when he was in Berlin, he was like, I can't wait to come home. And I was like, embrace the last few days you got
Mm.
there because once you get home, you're gonna be wishing you were in Berlin.
Yes. Yeah, I do remember that. And I was like, okay, that's a good reminder. A good reminder. Um,
I
and I'm so
honestly,
happy.
all of that has like I think it was a big wake up call for my mom too, because my mom's super go 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 hard worker,
Yeah.
right? And she doesn't like she'll go travel and go to different places for work and like go do her shopping, whatever. But I truly like I don't know if she does anything slow for her soul, you know? And
Hmm.
so I think it was a wake up call for her too. And I've really like, even though it wasn't like my best friend, I see how it's hurt my mother,
Hmm.
right? And so I've really been trying to take that and use it and channel it as best as possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's good that I can tell that it's been something that's you've absorbed and
Hmm.
reflected on as well.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that is a amazing place to end off the episode and a very powerful place to and actually a very powerful place, but also a very powerful reminder
Hmm.
that life is short, but you must, regardless, live it to the max
Yeah.
and live with love.
Yeah.
Live with love. And as Ashley says, right? Um, live with loving intentions or move with
Move with
loving
loving
intentions.
intentions. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, life is short. Love your people. Work your ass off. Say fuck it as often
Make
as
money.
possible. Make money. I'm gonna say it again. Say fuck it as often as possible. You know, just fucking do it. God damn it. Do
You only
it.
live one life. Make it last and make it worth it. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Embodiment, Who You Are Behind Closed Doors. If you ever have any questions, leave a comment, send us a DM at embodiment.pod on Instagram.
Or click the link in our bio to join our community. We are so grateful for you guys and the growth that we get to experience with you. I am so proud of you.
No, I'm proud of you.
No, I am.
No, me.
I said it first.
No.
No.